Welcome, guys, back to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine. And today we are welcome with the host of the E14 podcast, Mr. Heath Britt. How we doing, man?
Good, brother. How you doing today, man?
It's an absolute pleasure. I'm doing fantastic. Hot off work and T-ball. Got to see the nephew play T-ball. Always a great day. But we're not here for me. We're here for you, Heath. You had
Right.
me on yours. You gave me the spotlight. I just want to say that was one of my favorite experiences being a guest on a podcast I've ever had. My dad absolutely loved it. So thank you for giving me a platform to share my story and express, my love for wrestling, Christ, all those things. Thank you so much.
Dude, my pleasure, brother. I had a good time too, man. That was awesome to have you on the show. I'm glad I gave you that time.
What was the reaction like on your end from that podcast?
A lot of people liked it. They like it's different, right? E14 podcast doesn't really do wrestling. I do because I do my part of the E14 podcast when it's just me called Heath's Retirement Rant because I kind of made that up right after I retired from the Navy. I was getting pissed off at some of the BS that the Navy was pulling. Not the Navy as in like the people in the Navy, but the bureaucratic bullshit that goes along with working for the government, right? And
Fair
I was
enough.
getting ticked off, so I started bitching, and I was like, I could bitch forever. I mean, not and it'd be, no people would get tired of hearing me bitch, so I'll let other people come on and bitch. So that's kind of how I got started. But then I started, I've always loved wrestling. So I want to talk to these wrestling guys and, kind of see what their deal is. And I've been doing that a lot too. I've enjoyed it.
But before we dive into how the podcast started, your story, maybe your fandom on wrestling, how you got in the Navy, those kind of things, you want
Yeah,
to
man.
shout out where we can find the E14 podcast and your latest guests, all that fun stuff?
Hell yeah, dude. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, E14 podcast, E hyphen 14 space podcast. And then on Twitter, it's at E14 podcast. And then same thing with Instagram at E14 podcast.
Perfect, easy, simple. Where can we listen to the podcast?
Everywhere. I mean, Apple,
Okay.
Spotify, all the major platforms.
Got you. Love it. Easy, simple.
Yeah,
Um,
simple.
and, and do you throw out interviews? Is it every week? Is there a set day, or is it just kind of whenever you feel like going on a retirement rant, you go on a retirement rant?
Well, dude, I'm really busy. My wife, we used to do it together, but she's really freaking busy as hell with her. She's a Navy recruiter. She's still active duty. So I've been kind of as I go, right? If I got something, I like to, I love to do it every week if possible, but I've been pretty lately, last month or so, I've been pretty steady, if not once a week, at least once every other week. I was doing it. I'm not like your level, man. You can knock, you got some
It,
podcast, bro. You
it's
got
rough.
content. You must be beat down, but
It's a grind.
it is definitely because we used to do it every week, and that was a grind. But no, I try to do once a week or every other week whenever I have the opportunity. I used to like to sit down and BS with somebody.
Does that make it ever like? Does that take the stress off? Make it easier to just have an organic conversation, and instead of trying to pressure to get interviews in to meet a deadline, things like that.
Well, what happened back in the day when we started getting little traction. So we had people reaching out to us,
Yeah.
which that was easy, right? We didn't have to do anything. And then you take a break for a while. We took a break for a while, and I'm trying to get traction back. And like I said, my wife's hit or miss on there because her schedule. So I'm trying to get traction. It'd be nice if I could just have people, hey, Heath, can I come on your show? That would be great. But yeah, I don't sweat it though. If I can't
Okay.
get somebody, I just can't get somebody. I don't sweat it. I just,
Fair enough.
when it comes, great. If it doesn't, okay, we'll try again next week.
I love it. Takes because I'll be honest, sometimes doing a podcast and throwing out three a week and then live streams and life put with that. Like I told you off air, I help plan a wedding. I got
Yeah.
family stuff, vacations, things like that. It can be a lot sometimes, but it's fun. How how do you stay motivated just to continue doing the podcast?
I like talking to people, right?
Okay.
I like BSing with people because, I'm from the South, and I mean, where I'm from, man, you could be in a Walmart, checkout line, and by the time you get out of there, you know that person's whole life story. You knew
Yep.
they have 12 kids or whatever, and they got a divorce and now they're remarried. You know their whole damn story. People just talk, and it's just I don't know if it's the way it is down there. And I think it's pretty common, especially where I'm from in Louisiana, especially South Louisiana. Those guys, they'll just talk to anybody, and I think it's just in my blood. And then doing the Navy thing, you can't be afraid to talk to people because that's how you build bonds, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just experience, and I think I might have been born with a little bit too.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
I I never thought about it like whenever I started the podcast, the having to talk to people aspect, which is crazy because a podcast is about talking to somebody
right.
and approaching people in person. Sometimes I'll be honest, is not always easy because especially where I'm from in the Chicago area, not everybody is wanting to have a conversation. Like it can be very hit or miss. Now where I'm from, West Virginia, it's a little bit different. They love you down there, but up
Yeah,
here, it's different. So like starting a podcast, I didn't think about that level of. I just thought ask a question and let them talk. Ask a question, let them talk, and it's not like that. And it's kind of got me out of my shell. What has it opened you up at all, or has it just been something that it like you said maybe come natural to you?
I think a lot of it came natural, but I forget I'm forget sometimes when I'm recording, I forget that I am recording, right?
Okay,
So there's an etiquette, right? I
yeah,
mean, it's okay to have a few second pause between talking, right? It's okay. I hate uncomfortable silence. I mean, that's in me. I just can't stand it. My wife is an introvert. She's a very good speaker, but she's not a natural. I'm gonna go out and talk to somebody. So I drive her crazy because I can't stand uncomfortable silence. Like she comes home from work and she talks all day for a living. So she wants to come home sometime and just chill for an hour and not say anything. That used to
fair enough.
bug the shit out of me. Are you mad at me? I mean, what the hell did I do? Right. And that's just her. Right. And that's
Hmm.
the podcasting has broke me of that a little bit. It's
Okay,
okay. It's okay. It's fine. Like sometimes your guest needs to think for a second. It is what it is, and that it kind of, I guess the etiquette of a conversation, my etiquette of conversation has improved since podcasting a little bit.
definitely. I
Yeah.
100% agree. I'll even go as far as to say like my vocabulary has gotten a lot better because now I'm paying attention to what I'm saying. And like
Yeah.
I have a bunch of teenage siblings, so there's slang everywhere and just all that different. So like podcasting is really, I think if anything taught me to pay attention to what comes out of my mouth instead of just spewing words, because the last thing we want in today's day and age is to say something ridiculous on camera
Yeah.
and put it out
Yeah.
there. And next thing you know, the world's like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. Is that something you pay attention to?
Dude, I just had an episode with Jock Sampson from IWC Wrestling,
I saw that.
and we were drinking,
Phenomenal
man.
episode.
Yeah, we were drinking, right? We were drinking, I was drinking rye, he was drinking like Jack Daniels or something. And I was kind of nervous when I was editing it. I was like, what the hell is it? And it turned out okay, right? I was on autopilot, I guess, because I was feeling it. And it actually sounded really good. But I get nervous sometimes. Like, oh man, especially if I do an episode where I'm drinking alcohol.
Mhm.
Because it all depends on who I'm with, right? Like Jock Sampson's known for drinking,
He's a drinker.
so I'm going to drink with him, and there's like friends and podcasting I have that we're going to drink, and then I'm like, God dang it, I hope this is not a freaking shit show. And it turns out okay, it all comes out. And you can edit anything you want. That's a good thing about
You know, you're not wrong, and it's made this so much fun. A good example. I might have told you this about this on our podcast that we did, but I had Sabu on before he passed away. Rest in peace, Sabu.
it. Rest in
But we
peace.
we did the interview, and he was indulging in several things throughout the interview, which Sabu's known for. It's
Yep.
not a
Oh
secret.
yeah,
Sabu
that's the
does. He's
thing.
a partier. But there was a couple of times that even himself, like midway through, was like, that was too far. Don't put that in there. You got to take that out.
That's good.
That's too far." And I kept the foot because even afterwards, it's crazy hindsight looking back on it afterwards. He looked at me and was like, "Kid, keep that, but that stuff that I told you to take out, take out. And when I pass, feel free to do what you want with it." So like it's one of those, I have it. I haven't decided yet if it's the right time, but it's one of those rougher situations. You know what I mean? Because it's like I don't want to tarnish. Not that I could ever tarnish the legacy of Sabu, but
Right.
I don't want to put something out there that puts a bad light on Sabu. Especially, it was really close to. We recorded in November. He passed in April or May.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little rough.
That's crazy, Justin. You say that. So many things went through my mind when you told me that. Like Sabu, it was a is a legend, right? ECW
Absolutely.
Extreme, and the dude didn't. He had I forgot his moniker. He had like several monikers, right? And
Homicidal, genocidal, death
Sidle,
defying.
dude, he was out of
Sabu.
control, man. He was out of control. No fear, right? He's the OG, no fear.
Yes.
And you have footage. That's crazy. Like my whole thing, like Sabu died. It wasn't expected, right? Unexpectedly,
No.
he passed away. So for him to tell you that, right? Like, hold on, if I pass or when I pass, you can use it. Do you, that makes me think, did he know something that we didn't know?
That's what me and my dad have talked about this for hours. And it's just one of those like it's one. You remember when the Ultimate Warrior, before he passed away, he came out in Raw, and
Raw,
it
right?
seemed like he alluded that he was going to pass away, and then that night he passed away. Obviously, this is a very different scenario because it's months later, but it seemed like maybe he knew that he was, because his whole thing throughout the conversation was pretty much, hey, I want to get back into this. Like I didn't get to leave on the note that I wanted to leave on. So I'm getting in shape so I can do that. And then afterwards he was like, I said whatever, keep it. And when I'm gone, use it. Like, cause that's what the wrestling business is for. We take advantage of scenarios and we capitalize on situations. And he was like, use it. And my dad was just like, he said, use it. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I should talk to some of the people closer to Sabu when I get the chance and see what they think. And it's just one of those like hidden gems too, because even I'm the only one who's ever saw the footage. My dad's asked. I haven't showed him. Like I have it in storage. I'm the only person that's ever seen the uncut, unedited version, and I just don't know how to feel about it, if that makes sense.
Right. No, I think it's important you keep that safe until you know for sure it's ready to be. It's good to be released because the dude trusted you with that.
Yes,
That I don't give a damn if they're gone or not. It's still something he entrusted with you. So I would hold on to it until you were ready, and I would keep it close to your chest until you're ready to release it, until you feel comfortable releasing it at least.
definitely, definitely. And I think that's the biggest thing. And it's something I told my dad. It's like whenever I feel confident that it's not going to get a negative reaction, I'll do it. When people can watch it and say that's just Sabu being Sabu, I'll release it.
I've had that I have it queued up, ready to listen to. I haven't heard it yet, but I can't wait to hear that episode you did with him.
I'll be honest, it was one of those. And looking back, I felt bad about feeling how I did about the episode, but it happened like very last minute. I messaged him earlier in the day, just like whenever I message people to do a podcast, I literally go down a wrestler's friends list and I'll message everybody just to
Right.
see who hits. You send a shout out. If it works, it works. He messaged me back at like 11:30 at night and was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then put a dollar amount on it. And
Mhm.
I called my dad and I was like, Dad, Sabu message back. Oh my gosh. Like, this is my first big catch. He put a dollar amount on it. And dad was like, do it. I'll send you the money.
Oh,
And I was
nice.
like, okay, okay. Cause I didn't have the money. I was like, Dad, I don't have it. Like,
Right.
and
Right.
it's Sabu and it's good. He was like, I'll send it to you. Don't worry about it. And I was like, Sabu, when do you want to do it? He's like, can you do it in like 15 minutes?
Holy shit.
I was like, can give me a half hour. I'll be ready. Just to like, because I'm ready for bed. I'm asleep. I didn't get to do any research. And like, I know Sabu, but not enough to just go off the limb. Like, I like to be prepared for these things,
Right.
unless it's me and you just shooting the shit, like I told
Right.
you off
Right.
air. But, and like so the episode to me didn't go as well as I thought it could because it was just so spur of the moment. And there's at the beginning you can tell I'm stuttering on facts and trying to scramble to just figure out a way to get him talking. And eventually it flows. And eventually we're getting into it. But like for me, looking back, it was just so hard because I had a high expectation and I didn't think I met it. That makes sense?
Dude, I get it, but I'm gonna tell you something. When I first started this podcasting thing, it was me and my wife. It was my wife's idea, and because she had been on podcasts before, right? She had her own show with three other military people. They did one together, but we were doing the show, and I used to prepare so much for every episode, especially when we had guests, right? I was like our first guest that was they're a big podcaster out of Florida. They're huge in Florida, and dude, I had all this shit wrote down. It was all prepared, and it was a good show. Don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but then I just started having more fun, just kind of off the cuff a little bit. Do my little research, right? Do a little bit of research so you have some talking points. But then, man, it's just because you can bring something up and they'll start talking about it, and then they'll mention something else you can ask them about. But I always have a few talking points. Don't get me wrong. I do a little research, but it's not like I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
I might write a couple of things down. I don't want to forget it, like little things. It's easy to forget, but man, I just kind of I flow with it. And I like it that way. It might suck, I don't know, but I'm having fun. You know.
You, I, that's kind of like because when I first started doing it with a lot of the guys, I'd try to do, like you said, as much research as possible, overly prepared. I'd have like 30 questions for this guy. There's no way I'm getting 30 questions in. It's just not happening. And then I found myself at first sticking to a script and like following a script because I'd write them out word for word, verbatim, even the lead up to the question, like all the facts that I was getting in, like let's say they had a match. I'm like, well, you did this, this, and this, and then I want to ask you about this match you did at the end. And it wasn't fun. So then I started just like I'll have here and there, and I made it in my head like, hey Justin, you don't have to get to these facts every question because you can always have them back on. You know what I mean? So I think going by the cuff just makes it more natural and the conversations with the fans want to hear anyways and um just I think the biggest thing is the fact that we care about the conversation. That's something I've been getting into like with my brother a lot because my brother does the live streams with me and he's 14. 14
Right.
year
I
olds
saw.
don't care
I've seen
about
him on
nothing.
there. I've seen him there on your raw ones.
I love it, but all I keep telling him all the time is like, look, kid, you got to talk more, you got to care because people will like you or they'll get to know you and they'll care about you. You care about what you put out. Is that something you figured out throughout podcasting?
De- Definitely, man. If I'm passionate about, well, I'll say passionate. I don't mean that I'm in love, but when I'm excited about
Yeah,
somebody I'm going to talk to, right? It's you can see that you can hear in my voice. I feel different, right? Because I've done shows with people that not recently, this was a while back, that I wasn't really what I could take or leave it. And it's not like they're uninterested. I don't care about them. It's just like it's I don't know. It just doesn't get me excited for some reason. There's something about it that doesn't get me excited. Like I'd done a lot of research on jocks recently, Jock Sampson and on Elijah, not research, but kind of looked at a lot of their social media stuff. And I
yeah,
got to really like kind of see how their mind works. And that pumped me up, got me excited about the conversation. Same thing with Xander, Gabriel,
mhm,
and Marcus D'Angelo. I kind of started looking them up and kind of see what they're into. And it got me pumped up, right? And it seems like it's a better flow. I'm more excited about it. I'm more interested, which you want to be interested as a podcaster.
yes,
You can hear it in your voice if you're not. And that's the thing about the script. When you got a script, you sound monotone almost because you're reading from a
mhm.
script. And that's the reason I kind of just shit canned the script and went with kind of off the cuff a little bit.
I think it works so much better. And I think what made me realize it is when I first started doing the podcast, I stopped watching other podcasts because I was so focused on my own. And then there was a time in the middle somewhere, I think it might have been right after that Sabu one. And then I had a couple others right afterwards that I felt just didn't reach the mark I wanted them to. and then started watching Chris Van Fleet again. And I love Van Fleet. He's
Yeah.
amazing.
He's
And
the best.
you can tell that he's just there having a conversation, and he probably has some talking points. Obviously, he wants to talk about, but he's not sitting there with anything in his hand or script or piece of paper telling him what to say, anything like that. He's just having a conversation. And then once again, give credit to my dad because he's a big supporter. But I was talking to him about it, and he's like, "Look, kid, you just gotta have fun. Can't you can't get overwhelmed or stressed about it. You just got to go in and have that conversation."
Oh, 100%. I think, yeah, when Chris Van Vliet did the same thing, because he doesn't read from a script, like you said. He'll just have a few talking points. He'll bring up something and they'll answer and they might say something else, right? Like we talked
Yep.
about earlier. And then you can ask them about that.
Hmm.
Then you got an hour conversation before you know, because this episode is usually about an hour. Hour goes by fast when you're bullshitting.
Yes, when you're just shooting the shit, having a good time, talking about nothing, it goes by like hours. I didn't even realize it was an hour. I
It was an
remember
hour.
you looked at me and you was like, "We've already been here an hour. Thank you." And I was like, "What? No way."
Yeah, man. It's crazy. Well, I think we were at 59 minutes,
Yep.
something like that.
And right after we recorded that one, or it might have been the same day, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I did one with Marty the Moth Martinez from Lucha Underground.
Hmm.
Um, and we went an hour, and it was another one of those situations where we got to talking, and his story's crazy because it's wild. Definitely check that episode out to plug myself, I guess. But
Definitely. Definitely.
um, it's just one of those. At the end, he looked at me and was like, "Kid, that was an hour. Like, good job." Um, and I find those things always really compelling to me because whenever it kind of helps, I don't want to say validates because I don't feel like that's the right word, but it just feels good. It feels like I got a sense of like accomplishment because this person I looked up to now looked at me and said, "Good job! Like you did a good like what you're doing is great. Thank you." It didn't feel like I'm getting drilled at an interview by some person like holding a microphone in my face. Thank
Right.
you. And that's the best part about doing this is having a conversation. It's not like you're a reporter hounding them about what they're doing about their life.
Right. No, you're supposed to kind of like, get them over,
Yes, yes,
get them over in lack of better terms. I mean, and it's all about, tell me about you. And then you chime in as as the conversation flows, you can share experiences and it just makes for a great conversation.
100%. Something I am extremely interested about is I'll be honest, I love people from the South.
Right. Yeah.
West Virginia is as far as I've lived south, but I've been down to Georgia, things like that.
I mean,
Been to
you guys
Tennessee.
are barely in the South in West
We're
Virginia,
barely south.
but you're there. You're there.
We're there. It counts.
It counts.
What was it like for you growing up in the lower part of Louisiana?
It's, I mean, it was really, you knew everybody. I'm from a small town, right? So, I mean, the nearest town that we could go grocery shopping in was only about 80,000 people. So that was the big city.
Okay.
I lived in about 1,500 people. I graduated with 30 people.
Oh my
You knew it.
goodness.
I mean, you knew everybody. Your parents knew, my parents knew my friends' parents. They all went to school together. Everybody, I mean, generations. So it was one of those things where you could pretty much trust everybody. I mean, you had your shitheads everywhere you go. For the most part, you pretty much could trust everybody. And it's you go down the road driving, and everybody waves to everybody as they're driving. And it was friendly. I grew up in the Bible Belt. Everybody, follow Christ just about. And I mean, there were several denominations. You had your Catholics, your Baptists, your Methodists. I don't know how they fit that many churches in a little bitty town, but they did.
1,500 people is kind of crazy, but
Yeah, right, right. I love my childhood. I still like going back to visit because I like where I'm from. I'm right I'm right on the border of redneck and Cajun.
okay.
So my mom's Cajun, so I used to go to South Louisiana a lot to visit my grandparents, and that was a whole different lifestyle. I grew up where you couldn't buy beer on Sundays. If I go to my grandparents and the bar is across the street from the church. It's like two different countries
Hmm.
wrapped up, and you're only like 30 miles apart.
It's wild.
It's a whole different lifestyle down in South Louisiana compared to, I grew up in Central Louisiana, so I'm right on the border of what you would call the Bible Belt, Louisiana, and then Cajun country. It was, it's odd. A lot of people, you tell people that, and to me it was normal, but to a lot of people that aren't from there, it was, yeah, that's weird. But to me, it was normal life, and I'm glad I got to experience all that. I have a lot of culture. You got, the food and the lifestyle is totally different within the 30 or 45 minute radius. It's, I mean, thinking about it now here in Washington or in Washington, PA, Pennsylvania, it's, I really had a different childhood growing up. I had a lot of culture dumped in my, dumped on my lap, throughout my childhood.
It's interesting you say that because like even for me in West Virginia, me and my dad, I lived in Charleston, which is the capital of West Virginia.
Right.
And then I live when I go to my mom's, which was about 30, 40 minutes west of there in Culloden, West Virginia, really small town. We lived in a trailer park there. Me and my dad, we lived on the west side of Charleston, which is all ghetto for lack of a better term.
Right.
So like it's polar opposites. Yeah, your country bumpkins that we all are over here, and then my dad's hanging out with whoever doing whatever things he probably shouldn't be doing.
Right.
So like completely different lifestyles, and it clashes in the middle. And like the funny thing I always thought about, like once I got older, was they'd literally meet in the middle to drop me off and pass me back and forth.
How far away were y'all?
It was like a 30-minute drive.
Oh, so it's pretty close. Okay.
So it was pretty close. But like that's the crazy thing about West Virginia though, is because you can go from like the ghetto area and then it's like very nice neighborhood, and then you're in a trailer park, and then you go down the holler and it's just a trailer every 15, 20 minutes, and the only thing that connects you is a creek. So it's wild out there.
Now, dude, I'm from Louisiana. I've seen my share of trailer parks. Don't get me
Oh,
wrong.
look, there's nothing wrong with a trailer park. We
Nothing
got
wrong with them all. No,
nothing wrong with
I
it.
lived in one at one time. There's nothing wrong with trailers. I just saying like, that's why I go to West Virginia. It's not much different in Louisiana except for the mountains.
Okay, okay, and no gators.
Oh, a lot of gators. Yeah, we got those.
There's gators in Louisiana. No gators in West Virginia.
They got them in Louisiana. They got them in droves.
What made you decide to join the armed forces and to the Navy?
Dude, that was like 180 from any plan I ever had growing up, right? And I
Okay.
was like, I didn't know what I was going to do, but I wasn't going to do that. And then, I was married. This is not my current wife, but I was married very young, and I needed health insurance, and my wife at the time needed health insurance, and then so I did it for health insurance. That was my whole point of it. I did all right on the armed force entry exam, so I got a good job. And you go in for a short term fix, then you stay in for 26 years. It changed my mind. It started liking it. It's the shit became routine,
Okay.
right? And it wasn't that bad. So I stayed in for like the long haul. But
What made you decide to stick with it for so long?
well, the first time they threw 45 grand at me.
Okay, that'll
You,
do it.
you throw 45 grand at a redneck, you're usually gonna get him.
You could do a lot with 45 grand when you're
Yeah.
a redneck.
I mean, you don't get all of it. You get half of it after taxes up front, and then you get the other half. It's like I reenlisted for 6 years. So for 6 years after that, I got an installment for the other half. So, I mean, I still got it. It was just not all at one time, right? And
Gotcha.
then after that, I was in over 10 years, and I might as well stay in after 10 years. I mean, as long as I'm still having fun. And I did have a lot of fun. I mean, you have your bullshit no matter what job you have. You have stuff you don't like. But overall, I had fun. They were paying me, by the time I retired, they were paying me good money to talk shit.
Okay.
As long as I was getting the job done. And I was having a blast doing it.
Where all did you get to travel while you was with the Navy?
Uh, I did 5 ships. I did one in Everett, Washington, outside Seattle. Then I went to La Maddalena, Italy, which is Sardinia, which is right off the coast of Rome, about 100
Ooh,
miles or so. It's an island. And then my third ship was in, I want to say Japan, I think. No,
Ooh,
no, I did a minesweeper out of South Texas. And then I went to
okay,
Japan. Then I went to shore duty, went to Japan. And then I did my last ship I did in Jacksonville, Florida. So I did two ships overseas. And
okay,
then all my shore duties, I did three shore duties was in South Texas, Corpus Christi areas, because it was close to where I grew up. And then
nice.
I retired out of South Mississippi.
Okay.
So
And did you meet your current wife while you
uh,
was enlisted?
I did, but she was a reservist at the time. So I met her as a civilian. She was like a reservist is mostly a civilian that do weekend, go play military for on the weekend, right?
Okay,
So she was a civilian when I met her, and then we moved to Louisiana where I retired at, and she started recruiting, and then she went full time. Yeah,
okay. And then
yeah.
how'd you end up planting your flag in Pennsylvania?
She drug my ass up here, man. This is where she's stationed at now.
Okay, okay.
Took me back to the freaking beautiful redneck Riviera, the Gulf of Mexico, to freezing my ass off every winter. But it's not bad.
What's your area like? Because I know Pennsylvania can be it's kind of different on the climate way. You know, you get further up north, it's colder. Southern parts kind of more like West Virginia because it's right there.
Yeah,
What part of Pennsylvania are you currently in?
I could pretty much spit to West Virginia. So
Okay,
I'm 10 miles from West Virginia, Washington County, which is not far. I'm about an hour or 45 minutes southwest of Pittsburgh.
nice, nice,
So I'm not
nice.
far away from West Virginia, but it gets cold, bro.
Okay,
The summers are beautiful. It's not 100 degrees, which I like, but the winters, man, whew, they said
all
this
right.
ain't bad. They said this ain't bad, man. This is bad, dude. I don't care who you are. This is bad to me, at least.
How's it compared to a winter in Louisiana?
What those 3 days we get in Louisiana? It's a lot different.
Does it? Do you get snow down there?
Where I'm from, we got snow here and there, not a lot.
Okay,
We'd be lucky to get it once a year.
okay.
But down when I retired out of Slidell, which is near the Gulf, no,
No,
it got
not at
cold.
all.
When Louisiana one year in 2021, I was in Slidell, which, like I said, is the coast. Every other part of Louisiana was under ice for a week. It got down kind of like 30 in Slidell, but it warmed up to the 40s. We
Hmm.
were one of the only areas that weren't under ice. So
You got lucky.
it's a lot different in southeast Louisiana than it is where I'm from, climate wise.
Do you enjoy the difference though? Do you enjoy being in Pennsylvania?
I do, man, until about January. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
January to
okay.
March, I'm not a fan, but
Got
I love the fall. I'm not used to the leaf changes. I think it's awesome. I became a leaf peeper since I've been here. And
you.
that's what they call them up here, man. And I love the fall. I love the summer, spring. After when it gets into May, it gets better. I like
Hmm.
May, June,
I get
July,
it.
August, September, October, and November it starts getting cold again.
November's rough. I get it. It's about
Yeah.
this. Honestly, it's probably about the same up here. We predominantly from about November, mid-November to beginning of April, mid-April. It's cold. We're freezing. We getting snow. I do snow removal during the winter. I do
Yeah.
landscaping during the summer. So like right now it's 90 degrees and we're burning up. I'm red as a lobster. And then winter comes, it's freezing and you're out there. I think the longest shift I worked on snow removal was 21 hours. One of my coworkers was out there for 34. It's
Nonstop,
insane.
nonstop.
Nonstop. No quit. You gotta,
The
it's
first
rough.
time I ever shoveled snow was in North Chicago.
Okay.
I spent 2 years there after I had boot camp and I had my first school out of boot camp there. I was like, wow, man, I was like, can we just wait till it melts? Because when it snows in Louisiana, it's usually melted by later on that day. And they're like, no, man, we can't, we'll never get anything done. It doesn't
It'll
just melt
never,
here.
it won't be waiting until May.
Oh, that was the worst, man. I hate shoveling snow. I chalk it up as cardio. I say I'm just getting my cardio in, but man,
once
I hate it.
once you get rolling, I'll be honest, like once you get at first you're like this sucks, it's cold. But once you've been out there a couple hours, it just comes. You're like, I'm here. It's
Yeah.
it's not stopping. So you might as well just keep going because otherwise and something my dad also does that with me. And something I always tell him because he's a little older and he gets tired. And I'm like, Dad, if we get it off the ground now, we don't have to get it off the ground when it's done. So
Yeah.
let's get it up now. So when it's
You're,
done, we can go home.
I just thought about something. Your dad's probably younger than I am.
Uh, how old are you?
49.
He's 40. What is it? 2025. He is 44
He's a youngster,
or
man.
43. He'll be
He's a,
44 in September.
dude. When I was 43, I was running 10 miles a day.
And he ain't running 10 miles a day. He'll tell you different, but he ain't running 10 miles a day.
I don't have no kid helping me. I don't have my boy helping me shovel. Normally, well, he started helping now, but before he was too little, man, I was humping that shit by myself. Fuck that, man. Woo.
It's
I
rough.
do, I do enjoy it when I'm done. I feel like I got a workout in at least.
That's my favorite part is I don't want to say it's my favorite part because there's no good part about shoveling snow, but at least I remind myself it's a workout. I
It
worked
is.
out for 19 hours and then that when I go home and it's time to go to bed, it's like I earned that sleep.
Yeah, you sleeping good though.
Yeah. uh it's something else. It's something else.
Yeah, yeah.
Something I am interested in because you messaged me. I believe you saw or found me through the likes of Jamie Jamison, Xander
Yeah,
Gabriel, Elijah
100%.
Dean. Um, when did your wrestling fandom begin? When did you start loving this thing we call professional wrestling?
Probably 7 or 8 years old. It was I was watching Mid South wrestling back when
Okay.
I think I'm older, man. I was back in the early mid '80s, and I was watching Jake the Snake Roberts,
Hmm.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Junkyard Dog, all those freaking legends from back in the golden era. And that's before I knew about WWF at the time, and because we didn't have cable in my town, so we got local. That was local.
Okay.
And man, I loved those guys. My favorite was probably Jake Roberts and Hacksaw Jim Duggan, probably my two favorites. And Hacksaw Jim Duggan used to do a lot of stuff like he used to frequent not far from where I lived. So people were like, yeah, I saw Hacksaw down the road. Actually, he used to live a mile from my uncle.
Okay.
So my uncle used to remember him, like see him running, getting working out, while he was out driving his truck, he'd see Hacksaw running around. So, they were close to you. I used to watch them. And so, yeah, they were my favorites. I mean, until probably, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, for years,
Okay.
they were probably my favorite. Yeah.
Did you? I mean, as a fan, a lot of typical fans will take some time away from wrestling. Was you one of those guys?
Yeah, I deployed a lot, man. So
Okay.
especially during, my Navy time, unless I was on shore duty where I didn't go anywhere, I just, was in the Navy. Yeah, I deployed a lot, especially a lot during the PG era.
Okay.
A lot during there, like a lot off and on, like Cena, a lot of stuff he's done. They show flashbacks. I didn't see that. I don't remember
Okay.
that because I was deployed. I mean, we could watch some of the WrestleManias because WWF or WWE did give the Armed Forces Network, which we could catch at sea.
Hmm.
He gave free WrestleManias to him.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
so
nice.
every once in a while I could catch a WrestleMania, but then you're sharing a TV between 10 or 15 people in a shop.
It's
So
rough.
you didn't always, and I'm not going to be like, no, we're watching this. I don't want to be that guy. So I caught a few here and there.
Okay. Okay. Something I think me and you found really interesting about our conversation. We talked about our truth, his kind
Yeah.
of resurgence a little bit, and then right after our conversation, our truth was gone from the WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's made his return as Ron Killings. What do you think
Yeah.
about that whole scenario?
Dude, I think honestly, here's my thing. I'm gonna give you my little take on it. Big fan of R-Truth. Of course, he was hilarious, right? Some of the stuff he
Mhm.
would do was hilarious. But I'm digging Ron Killings gimmick, man. I'm digging that. I think they should stop calling him R-Truth and call him Ron Killings.
100%,
Yeah, I
100%.
mean, don't mix around, don't mix it up. Just call him Ron Killings because he's not the same man.
Mm-mm.
Uh, I can't wait to see what happens on SmackDown next Friday or this coming Friday when he takes on
John
Cena.
Cena.
I'm
Yeah.
excited about that. I love his whole like, and I guess I haven't heard it yet. I guess on the Busted Open podcast
Hmm.
with Bully Ray and those guys, I
Yep.
guess he went off on him.
I haven't heard it yet, but I was reading some new stuff and I heard he did really go in on the whole situation.
He did. I'm ready to hear it. I just hadn't had a chance yet, but I need to hear that one. But no, I can't wait to see what happens because the whole thing, he's gunning for Cena. He jumped him twice on Raw or SmackDown
On
last
SmackDown.
Friday.
Yep.
SmackDown last Friday, he jumped him twice. And man, I'm loving it.
You know, have you ever, I know this might have been at a time maybe he was deployed, but Ron Killings, he was the NWA TNA
Yes.
champion back in the day.
Yep.
Did you get to
Back
see
then,
any of that stuff?
very little, man.
Go back
I
and
was
watch
gone.
it because
I need
it's
to.
this is like it's a mirror image kind of.
That's what I hear. I heard he was, he was a total badass in TNA.
Yes.
And
It's a completely different side of truth that you're like, that's not the same guy. But obviously, our truth hasn't aged today. So it's
no,
the same guy, but
he still looks 35 years old, man.
it's amazing. Definitely
He's
go watch it.
55 or 54. Yeah, I need to check it out. Definitely. I've been meaning to because that's what everybody says. I mean, you told me that and I've heard it on podcasts that this is reminds people of the TNA Ron Killings. And I think he should just break bad on Cena's ass.
I keep saying, give him a run. I know me and you talked about it. I was like, maybe give him a run and have him get squashed by Cena, the next Friday or something, just fantasy booking. But at
Right,
this
right.
point, the fans got him back. He was fired and hired back in a week because
It's
we
crazy.
wanted him. So, like, give him kind of like they did with Jey Uso, but they waited too long to give Jey Uso the title. Give Ron Killings the championship. That's what I'm saying.
And they did it with Cody with the We Want Cody.
Yeah. Yep.
When The Rock tried to, take his spot against Reigns in WrestleMania 40. Yeah, man. Them fans, if it's they
They don't
strong enough,
play.
no, they're crazy, man. I'm glad they got their way because I think they should give it to the fans sometimes. Like they can't always give the fan what they want because they have to get they have wrestling is
It's give and take.
it's theater for emotion. We got to get emotion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you got to get people pissed off just to get them to
Definitely.
come back.
Yeah,
But when
100%.
it's something like that though, I'm glad the fans got their way.
Definitely. Because I remember talking to, um, once again, my dad about it, but
Yeah,
we shooting the shit about it. And a lot of people online were obviously very mad about Truth getting fired because he's a 17-year vet WWE. And it seemed like they just ripped him from us right when they gave him a shot. And even like you saw like high up in the WWE ladder, people up Rhea Ripley, people like that were upset and speaking out about it. So like it was one of those where it was like I want to see where it's going before we judge this because who knows? Like he could go to a TNA and resurgence or go to an AEW and resurgence. Or like WWE's been known to fire people and then rehire them with lesser contracts for a different
right,
role. So I was
right.
like, maybe they fired him for his active contract because he is like 53, 54 years old. Like maybe they wanted to produce something or work backstage. I said, we just got to be patient. And sure enough, he was back. And I was like, oh my goodness.
And the thing about Ron Killings, yeah, maybe he is in his 50s, right? I get it. I know Father Time waits for no one. Um, but at the end of the day, if they did decide to use him backstage, I mean, he got over. He was a great character. He knows how to work the character out. And you saw him when he wrestled Cena at, was it not Money in the Bank, the one
Saturday Night's
before?
main event. Yeah,
Yeah.
Saturday Night's main event.
Was that Saturday Night Main Event?
Yep.
He still can do the moves. He was doing all of them. They were
Yep.
Cena's moves, but he
But
looked good. They look good, man. He's doing a hell of a job.
what do you think about them? Because when you was younger, Saturday Night's main event was probably one of the biggest things WWF was doing.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
think about them reusing that and bringing it back and giving us that
I,
nostalgia?
I love it, man. I love the whole thing they're doing with the hanging down mics, the refs in the blue shirts with the black, I think it's black bow tie.
Yep,
The whole intro going into it,
I
a
love it.
throwback, nostalgia, very retro. I think it's great, man. I'm glad they did it, and I'm glad they're doing it every so often, not every
Mhm.
Saturday night. So I'm glad
Yes.
they're spacing it out. I think it's appropriate.
What did you get to see that Jesse the Body Ventura has been on there?
Yeah, is that what you're asking if I've been listening
Yeah,
to him on? Yeah. Oh
yeah.
yeah.
What do you think about the body being back on WWE TV?
I I like Jesse. He's out
Okay.
there, his political views are kind of out there. But I
Definitely,
mean, he's
definitely.
out there, man, conspiracy theorist and everything. And I liked him better as the old body. So I think, people start getting these conspiracy theories and they kind of, I don't know, that's all I think about. I don't know why. I don't mean to. I want to appreciate it for what it is. But it's almost like the commentators don't know what to do with him now. Like they don't know
Yes,
how to follow a conversation with him. Do you understand
fair
what I'm
enough.
saying?
Yeah, definitely.
It's like when it was him and Vince, they were gold.
They meshed
Like
well because they're
they
both
did.
out there.
They're both out there. And it's like you got these, I don't want to say stuffy. They're kind of stuffy now compared to where they used to be, right?
They're politically correct
Right. And they
individuals.
have to, and they have to be in their defense.
Yes,
They got to be PC, right? This is a whole different world that, WWE don't need to get canceled. But I think
exactly.
it's some, I'm not going to bitch if he's on there. He's nostalgia as hell. And he's the OG of Saturday Night Main Event. I'm down with it. But sometimes the 2025 commentators can't deal with the 1982 Jesse the Body Ventura.
I think it showed at the last one because
Yes,
the last
that's what I
one,
was thinking about. Yeah.
I remember Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest had their steel cage. And Priest walked out of the cage, and the body is going off about he should have beat him in the ring, blah, blah, blah. And Michael Cole's trying to put it over as like, hey, this is more disrespectful because he just beat him so bad, and then he just walked out. And Jesse shits all over it. And like,
Yeah, he did.
I found it hilarious. But like to an average viewer who just flipping through the channels, hits NBC and sees this happening, they're gonna be like, these two guys are really arguing over this, and why didn't the guy
Right.
just pin him? So like
Right.
it looks, I don't want to say it looks bad, but it's kind of convoluted, if that makes sense.
It is. And what I think what should have happened, he could have bitched a little bit. Oh, look at that Woods walking out. Why didn't he pin him or climb? And then that would have been it.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he kept on about it, boy. He just would
He
not stop.
hounded it.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
Do
he
you think
did.
we'll see him back?
I think so. I
Yeah,
think so. I think they already paid him, man.
fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, the only thing I'd say maybe to combat that is like whenever they did the Netflix thing, whenever Raw came to Netflix the first night, they brought Hogan out, and it seemed like they was going to make a big deal about Hogan being, but Hogan got that monster like
Boo.
opposite of a positive reaction.
Yeah.
Um,
He got the negative pop.
the negative pop, the biggest negative pop I've ever seen.
And it was go home heat. Not
It was bad. It was
Yeah,
so
it was
bad.
terrible. I
Which
felt
for
bad for
me,
him.
I felt so bad because growing up, like I'm one of those people that has been able, with certain scenarios, been able to take what happened in the ring to separate it from what happened outside the ring. It's obviously difficult, but I was a Hulkamaniac as a kid. Like my
Oh,
dad taught me to
everybody was.
love Hulk Hogan, and like all the pictures of me when I was a kid are in a diaper doing the hand
Yeah.
motion over the ear and posing. So like with glasses on, looking like a
Yeah.
fool. But so like it it does make you feel bad for him because it's like how have you tarnished your reputation so bad to where you walk in an arena and it's that bad.
But in the same breath, man, I know like what he did, I guess what he did in the past, well, it was bad. Don't get me wrong. I
Yeah.
don't support it and I don't agree
No,
with him. But look all these other people that done some jacked up shit
that's what I
and
was
they come
thinking.
back and they still getting pops, man. I mean, why is he different? I guarantee you what he did is not as bad as what some of these other people did, you
Agreed.
know, you
Agreed.
know, So
Well,
yeah, I mean, you kind of don't do stupid shit if you don't get booed, I guess. But
you
at the
know,
same time, I feel bad for him.
something that's always interested me about the wrestling community is because, these situations happen all over the world, many different forms of entertainment. And like just as an example, like people will still like R. Kelly's in prison right now, but people will still listen to his music. Or like Bill Cosby did whatever he did. People still watch the Cosby show.
Yeah.
Things like that. But in wrestling, usually when you F up, the people let you know you effed up and they don't forget you effed up. And I
No,
just have
they
never
don't.
understood why it's like that.
I
Like
don't get
me
it
and you
because
talked about
I don't get
redemption
it.
on
Yeah.
our podcast.
Right.
And it's like the wrestling community sometimes doesn't allow that redemption. Do you think that's, I
I,
don't think it's fair, honestly
no,
speaking.
and I don't understand it. Wrestling is built on a work.
Hmm.
Everything's a work, and then gimmicks. I mean, your whole, all wrestling is, I want to say, is people playing somebody else, right? It's character
Yeah,
work. Do you think they'd be the first to forgive you?
100%, 100%. Like I think a big example is I just had Brian Kendrick on the podcast.
I need to hear that one, man. I like Brian Kendrick.
It's a
Yeah.
great interview. And it's one of those when I did it, not too long ago, I had Jimmy Jacobs on the podcast, who's a friend with Brian Kendrick. But Jimmy talked about how like the Briscoes they weren't allowed on AEW TV because of something Jay Briscoe said in the early 2010s. I think he made a remark towards like gay people or something like that. But it was out there. It was pretty bad, and he
Right.
apologized or whatever. And they wouldn't like Warner Brothers or whoever worked for Turner wouldn't let them on AEW. And then not too long ago, Kendrick had something similar happen. He said he had like some conspiracy theories when he was doing this like more crazy gimmick right after he left WWE in like '09, somewhere '09 to
Yeah.
2011, somewhere in there. And they brought those back to light when he tried to go to AEW. As soon as his match was announced for AEW, they brought it up and they took him off TV. And I was like, when I got Kendrick on, I talked to him and I was like, hey, let's try to talk about this and see if we can let the people know how you feel. Which Kendrick does let us know how he feels. I don't know if he 100% expressed himself like I was maybe hoping for, trying to help him get. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of speaking up for yourself,
Yeah.
and which was
Right.
what I was hoping for. Which I'm sure he said what he needed to say, and I'm sure he's fine with how he said it. But I think a lot more people should be afforded those platforms to be able to say, "Hey, I made a mistake, and it sucked. I'm sorry. Can we move on?" Like it shouldn't
Yeah.
ruin my whole life.
Right. And the whole thing is, I believe in tolerance, right? Like you don't have to agree with somebody to treat them like a human being, right? That's
Yeah,
kind of where I'm at. But and I'm all about tolerance, but I'm also about forgiveness. Everybody wants you to be tolerant, but those same people aren't always so quick to forgive. So I think it works. It's a two-way street, right? So I talk about the Briscoes, right? Yeah, a guy said something 100 years ago. I think we're at the point of forgiveness now because I think
definitely.
a lot of people that because not people that was raised in that's the way of thinking that was beat into their head,
Yes.
as kids. I mean, they're just regurgitating what they were taught. So I believe I believe in forgiveness. I don't hold grudges. I was wrong. I've been wrong, in my life, but I would never hold that against somebody. And I think, especially if they're willing to change, I think you should be willing to forgive too. So I think it's a two-way street.
Well, like you said, like some people were raised a certain way. Like I can tell you from I was raised in West Virginia. Some of the things that are taught to young minds are not okay at all.
No, I don't
Definitely
believe that either.
completely against
I'm a
what
100% with
I'm
you,
sure
buddy.
you're. Look, from the South, I'm sure you're aware of what I'm talking about and those things that we don't have to discuss. It's out there, but
Right,
like you don't have to agree with those. And like
right,
to, and I'm not saying it's okay to grow up and act out how you was taught because maybe you should at some point be able to figure out, hey, this is not the right way to go about things. But who knows? Like maybe he was in character, or maybe he said this in this way. You
right.
don't know. And so to hold that against you, and like I think the thing with the Briscoes, like for one that really caught Jimmy Jacobs was it took a man to die before we forgave him. Why should somebody have to pass away before he's given
Right,
forgiveness and given the opportunity that he should have had while he was alive?
right,
Because I mean, y'all appreciated him, but y'all didn't appreciate him enough to put him on TV.
right.
Now he died, so you're going to put his brother on TV. It's not the same thing.
No, no.
And like I was talking to Kendrick, and I was like, man, it's just for you. I don't think it should have to get that far. Like you're in a Jay Briscoe's shoes, except you're able to talk about it. So like that was the one thing that really caught me. I was like, just having a platform to say, "Hey guys, I'm sorry. I said this. Don't wait till I'm gone to freaking forgive me because that's what you guys do." And I just don't. I've never thought that was right, especially as somebody that's done things that are wrong, which
Right.
me and you went into a lot
Yeah.
on our
Right.
podcast.
Right.
I don't think that's right. It's all
No,
about redemption. That redemption story is what we all hope for.
exactly. I mean, we all have a redemption story, you know, whether it's one thing or the other. It don't have to be extreme to have a redemption story. And I just think if a guy or gal's trying, throw him a bone,
Definitely,
help him out,
definitely.
at least try to
Uh,
forgive him.
100%. And something I found through my path to to Christ and to God is forgiveness. Just it changes your outlook because like when I went into jail, I was angry, I was bitter, I was mad at the world.
Right.
It was a why me mentality. Like, and once I was like, okay, I hurt this person, and I hurt this person, I hurt this person. I hope they can forgive me because, maybe I did it because they did something. I forgive them for whatever. And even like to deep rooted issues with parents or grandparents and things like that, that maybe most people might not see as forgivable. I had to sit down and be like, look, Justin, it's not doing you any good to hold on to these things. Let it go. The weight that's lifted off your shoulders and off your heart is crazy once
Yeah.
you're able to just let that go.
You don't forgive for them, you forgive for you.
Yes,
Anything, dude, you know more than anybody about redemption. I mean, and and you don't a lot of people don't make it back, but some people do.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I got one more wrestling related question
Oh man, let's go.
and one more question after that, and I'll let you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, man, do your thing.
One, on Monday night, we got to see the return of Bill Goldberg.
Oh yeah.
He's going to be going after Gunther for the World Championship in Atlanta, Georgia. Are you excited to see Goldberg back?
I am, man. I mean, dude, I was 20, I think 20 or 22 when he came out. I was a young adult, young in the Navy, and I was on a ship, and I remember we were not at sea, so we could watch everything, and we were talking about it, boy. We were talking about Goldberg. He went like what 180-0 or some ridiculous
Some
number like that.
170 something, I think.
Something and and
Ridiculous.
he was beating everybody in like 5 minutes. Everybody. And and then his intro was like it wasn't super long, but he's talking about the most intense damn intro I've ever seen. Haven't
Hmm.
seen nothing more intense since. And I can't wait to come back. Yeah, he's in his 50s, but he's still a monster. I remember when he came back and beat Brock Lesnar in
That was
2006.
impressive. I
I was
loved
like,
it.
this dude still looks like he did in the 90s. I'm like, golly.
I I think the thing I love most about this Goldberg return is the last couple have been hit or miss. But
Right.
this one, Goldberg seems ready. He came out there, he seemed focused. He wasn't messing up his speech. I know some people were talking about like he was struggling getting on the top rope, but the man was getting on the top rope in cowboy boots. That's not easy. I think Goldberg's ready.
Freaking everybody's a hater, man.
I
Hey,
agree.
get your ass in the ring with Goldberg and talk that shit. That's what I
That's
got
what
to
I was
say.
thinking. You take one of them spears, I bet you ain't
Yeah.
getting up.
I remember we used to say that's back right after, because, Vince McMahon had, came out and said, it's all acting, basically wrestling. He came out and put that out. A few years later, we got the Monday Night Wars. Then you got Goldberg. And I remember we're saying, who's going to tell that son of a bitch that wrestling's fake? I'm not.
He still ain't learned. It's 30 some years later. He has not learned that this shit's fake.
No, man, I'm excited. And Gunther is an amazing professional wrestler. Whether you like him or hate him, the dude's good. But he sold fear. He sold the fear in that ring. He looked like he was about to crap his pants.
So excellent at that. Because even like we go back to his feud with Jey Uso before Mania, and he beat the snot out of Jay, out of Jimmy. But that next week after he destroyed Jimmy Uso, Jay come out there in all black. He looks Gunther in the eyes and he's like, "I'm not scared of you no more," and goes on. But Gunther looked like he just got the fear of God put in him, and I was like, "That's excellent," because that's
He's good.
just what you need is that little bit because everybody just sees Gunther as the mean, Austrian
Freaking
ring general. Like,
right, just an emotionless machine.
and to give him some emotion and to give him some fear gives you believability that, for one, he can be defeated, but for two, once you get in the ring, is it going to be that same story? It's
Right.
perfect.
He's great, man. He's awesome. I want him to turn babyface just to see what happens.
Why, look, watch our, if you haven't yet, go watch our live stream from yesterday as we're recording this,
Right.
but the last live stream we did for Raw, me and my dad talk about like the babyface Gunther he'll be a star,
Oh
guaranteed.
yeah. He's already a star. He's gonna be a mega star. I mean,
Exactly.
dude, he's gonna be amazing.
Last question. I always ask, something that's important to success and growth is putting goals in order. What kind of goals do you got going for the rest of 2025? Whether it's personal, whether it's for the podcast, anything like that.
Man, in my life, I've achieved pretty much everything I've ever wanted to. But I know for my son, I want to see him grow into a good young adult. I'm doing my best. It's tough, man.
It's
You got a
tough
lot of
nowadays.
distractions, dude. It's so, oh my God. I hate TikTok, dude. Anyway, and I want my wife works really hard, man. It's like I did 26 years in the Navy. I never did what she did. And there's a reason why. I never was a recruiter because screw that. Why would I do that? I'd rather be at sea than a recruiter. I want to see her succeed and just do well at what she's doing. And I just I want to be patient.
Okay.
My goal, I'm trying to be more patient. I'm not known for my patience. And that's my goal. Be more patient with my son and try to, I guess, be more positive, which I'm a positive person, but me be more positive when he makes a mistake.
Okay. I like
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Heath, for coming on here.
Oh,
Thank you
dude,
for letting me be on your show. Thank you for
I had
coming
a
back.
blast.
It was an absolute joy. Once again, another hour flew by. Didn't even
I tell
realize
you,
it.
tell you.
Um, Thank you so much. Before we go, I know we did it at the beginning. You want to just shout out where we can find the E14 podcast on social medias?
Yeah, man. Uh, Facebook, E-14 podcast, Twitter at E14 podcast, no hyphen, and then Instagram at E14 podcast.
Perfect. Thank you so much. If you ever want to come back on for a part two, I'd love to
Oh,
have you because
yeah.
this is phenomenal. We could talk all day. We could do
Yeah,
these every
dude.
week. I don't
Dude, I
care.
could talk for another hour. I feel bad that I told you an hour, but I do need to get some sleep, I guess.
I agree. I agree. We both wake up early in the morning. I get it.
That's right.
So I'll leave this off and see you next time.
All right, take care, brother. Good talking to you.